Tragicomedy. A tragicomedy is different from tragedy and comedy, where comic relief or tragic situations are introduced to heighten the effect by contrast. In a tragicomedy there is a fine blending of the characters, subject matter, and typical forms of plot related to both tragedy and comedy. And the tragicomedy is a type of Elizabethan and Jacobean drama. We can find both the people of high rank and people of low degree in tragicomedy. According to the prevalent critical theory of drama, members belonging to upper strata of society were considered fit for the tragedy. Thus, Macbeth and Hamlet are pure tragedies. And characters representing the middle and lower class were deemed suitable for comedies. As You Like It and Much Ado About Nothing are comedies. So, tragicomedy can be called a meeting place where the characters of higher and lower strata of society come together. But tragicomedy is a complete comedy up to a certain point and complete tragedy thereafter. William Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice is a fine example of a tragicomedy by these above-mentioned criteria. In Merchant of Venice, there is a combination of people of the aristocracy and lower-class characters. William Shakespeare's Cymbeline, The Winter's Tale, and The Tempest are some of the best plays belonging to this category of tragicomedy. Owing to its structural peculiarities, its theme requires a different treatment. Generally, a tragicomedy is a story of happiness, misfortunes and incidents bordering on the improbable. The characters are also different from the normal characters found in a range. There is a fine use of the supernatural and the pastoral element. The general atmosphere in the tragicomedy is of the fantasy. Therefore, it is also called the dramatic romance. Tragicomedy by its very name suggests that it could never be thought of by classical writers. The English form of tragicomedy began in the reign of James I. It was the dramatic counterpart of the prose romance popular in England at that time. Francis Beaumont and John Fletcher established tragicomedy on the English stage. In the tragicomedy Philaster and other plays, Francis Beaumont and John Fletcher handled this form of drama quite adroitly. There is a dexterous usage of fast-moving plots of love, romance, intrigue, jealousy, treachery and disguises in a tragicomedy. William Shakespeare perfected and popularized this form. Tragicomedy, finally, degenerated into the sentimental comedy in the 18th century. Tragicomedy received a lot of criticism from a lot of critics. Sir Philip Sidney, John Milton and Joseph Addison condemned the form on its hybrid composition. Joseph Addison criticized it as one of the most monstrous inventions that ever entered into a poet's thoughts. All these critics always measured drama by the type of classical conception of the three dramatic unities, time, place, and action. They could not explain why such a mixture of tragedy and comedy was not good. Among the champions of tragic comedy, John Dryden stands out prominently. John Dryden, along with Dr. Samuel Johnson, failed to understand why tragicomedy should be condemned. On the contrary, he thought that it was quite natural, since our life is neither pure tragic nor pure comic. It is a blending of both. Allardyce Nicoll, the great scholar and critic, has pointed out that in pure tragedies and comedies also such mixture has enhanced the beauty of the play. Therefore, tragicomedy is a real mirror of the life. It is interesting to note that in modern novels also there is a blending of tragic and comic elements.